This can be so aggravating, especially when you're smart and puzzling. And it's also something that you've probably been noticing for years and which seems unsolvable, and yet you keep moving on it. So, what happens, the way this shows up, is that you keep having the same conversation, the same discussion, the same pleading, the same anger, the same cajoling, the same asking a team member to do something differently, trying to connect with your adult or older teenage child, communicating with your spouse about what's going on. You're having the same conversation over and over again. And you're finding that in your head, you're trying to figure out how to say it differently, how to get through to them, how to solve the problem. And yet, no matter what you've been doing for years, probably, maybe even decades, no matter what you've been doing, it's not getting through. And you're a powerful communicator and you're a smart woman. So, how is it even possible that you can be spending all this time and all this energy trying to get through to someone, trying to get through to someone on a really important part of life, whether it's work or personal life, and it doesn't change. Nothing really changes. And so how might this look? So for example, you've had this exact same discussion with your teenage son. You can't even imagine how many times you've had this conversation, and you've really spent a lot of time and energy and thought to figure out how to get through, how to say this in a different way, how to help him understand. And yet, nothing's changing. Maybe there'll be some flicker of willingness on his part, but nothing's changing. Or perhaps you're noticing that this team member or this person that works for you, like she's just not getting it. You really like her and you like how she works for you, but this one part, wow, it's so aggravating. And you've really thought about how to get through to her. You've really thought about what's wrong with the system, what's wrong with how you're communicating with her. How can you set your expectations differently? How can you be clear? It's not that you're not a great communicator. You know, you've been working and talking and explaining things and doing it very well for a really long time. It's That's not the problem. Or you are going to work and you're talking to, maybe if you're working for someone, I'm thinking of a client right now, and the whole group of people that she's talking to, they need to understand what she's saying because she's really getting something about the business that they don't get. And yet they've been doing it for years and she can't get through. So she tries and she works at it and she tries different angles and there's they it sometimes looks like they're listening. Maybe it's going in a little bit further. And so she gets a little bit flicker of hope and then she goes back. And it's the exact same thing the next day or the next week, exactly the same. And again, this is not because you're not a good communicator. It's not because you're not intelligent. In fact, the fact that you could do these kinds of things very well and that you put real thought into it is what is so aggravating for you. It drives you nuts. How can this problem still exist after all the time, energy, and sometimes money that you spend trying to solve it? So the other part of this is that what's happening inside you, your inner communication, as you're doing your best to solve these outer ongoing situations. And that's where, again, the aggravation, the anger, and the sadness comes through. And the sadness is around how can you, such a good problem solver, so intelligent, so well meaning, someone who really has good ideas that can make a difference in this area, how can it not get anywhere? It just drives you nuts. When there's a difficult situation, it can either get better or worse. That's what happens in life. In these situations, though, they become a loop. And if you have noticed, you are spending time internally thinking about these things because they're not getting solved, and you're a problem solver, and not solving them is not an option. I would like you to think about this over the next week until we meet again, and really pinpoint where those places are for you, because these are places that don't fit with how you are in the rest of your life. They don't fit with the way that you're able to solve problems. They don't fit with how much you have to give. And they're really a contrast with how you succeed in life. It's this area, and it's been happening for you for years, possibly decades. This is a loop, and it's not going anywhere. It's pointed at the wrong problem.